Hello, I've just been doing some practice on a chord voicing I like. Do you want to hear it?
Yes.
Okay. Shall I show you the voicing? Okay. So here's the chord I've been practicing. First of all, let's give that a name. If I just move one note, I move this C down to a B, it becomes obvious then that this is just a G major triad with a B in the bass, so G over B. So if I move this B back up to the C, I'm doing a sus4 there, so I'm going to call this G sus over B. I'm also going to give this type of voicing a name. I wrote a tune a while ago called Coming Around that uses this voicing, so I call this a coming around voicing or a coming around chord, and maybe I'll play you a bit of it at the end. The next thing I'm going to do is give myself some harmonic context by putting myself in a key. So this G sus over B chord might be functioning as a chord 5 in C major, so I could do this. I think the easiest thing to do when we're learning new material is to attach it to something that we already know. So I'm sure you're already familiar with doing a perfect cadence, G to C. You might also be familiar with doing G over B to C. And you might even be familiar with doing, instead of playing this G triad when you do G over B, play G add 9 over B. So now I know that any time I would normally do that, I could do this new voicing instead. Then next I might try taking this exact shape and transposing it chromatically to see if there's anywhere else it will fit into the key that I'm in. So if I analyse this as a minor sixth interval and then a perfect fourth interval and a major second interval, so I'm going to preserve that shape as I go up. So there it is fitting into C major. And then I'm back to the start. So there's actually only two places, there and there, that it fits into the key that I'm in diatonically without changing any intervals. Then I might try relaxing the rules about my shape and just take the general shape through the major scale. So I could say, instead of the intervals having to be a minor sixth and then a perfect fourth and a major second, it could just be a sixth interval and a fourth interval and a second interval, and I don't care what type. So we get that. And if we carry on up through the scale, so that's all cool, but I've got two issues with that. The first is that there's been a bit of a stylistic shift. We've gone much further into jazz territory, especially with chords like D minor 6/9 and A minor 9 with a flat 13. So you might want that more jazzy vibe, but you might not. It's just good to be aware of it and in control of it. The original chord didn't have quite that much jazz flavour to it. The second thing is, if I keep moving these chords around, the sameness of the shape kind of gets a bit wearing after a while. And maybe that whole idea of moving the same shape around within the scale is a bit of a well-used idea, a bit of a jazzy idea. So maybe there's a way of playing through the scale that doesn't have such a strong jazz identity, or let's say it retains a similar vibe to the original chord, and it doesn't get boring by always using the same shape. So to get our scale's worth of voicings, let's start with this perfect cadence. the 5-1. It sounds fine to just resolve to this major triad, and I'll definitely do that sometimes, but it'd be cool to find something that's got a similar level of tension to this original coming around chord. So I'm going to do this. So C, add 4. So that's taking care of these two melody notes within my scale. So now I'm going to keep going up through the scale, focusing on my melody notes. So I next need to harmonise this F, and I'm going to go for that D minor add 9. Then I'm going to carry on up and harmonise this note, which I can use my original coming around chord for. So I've got this. For my A melody note, I'm going to harmonise it with some kind of F. I could do this, but that's a little bit more tense than the original one, than the original coming around chord. So I might do that instead, F6. Or I could do F add 9, although I know I've used that a lot before, so I might avoid that. Then for my B melody note, some kind of G chord. Here I don't have a lot of options, and the only option I really like is G6, which means it's a bit of a shame that I used F6 on the chord before it. But actually I realised that I don't mind using the same shape twice in a row, just not all the way through the scale. And then if I try and harmonise my C melody note, I'm going to do that, A minor add 9. Same voicing as that, as the D minor. And then I'm back to my original voicing. So my whole scale goes like this. Sounds pretty cool. Wrong. What I realise I'm doing here is I'm moving up through the scale with my top note, and I'm moving up through the scale with my bottom notes as well. And then for my chord, I'm just avoiding obvious chord types like C major 7, and I'm avoiding using the same shape over and over again. And I'm also avoiding chords that I've used a lot before, like that F add 9. But hey, I can do what I want. This is my practice room. What else could we do with this voicing? Well, one thing we could do is take each diatonic chord, and on the way to each chord we could use chord 5 of that diatonic chord. So for instance, if I'm going to D minor in the key of C, I might think about doing A to D minor and use my coming around voicing on that A. So I'll make it A sus over C sharp. I could also do the same thing going to my next diatonic chord, the E minor. So B sus over D sharp. We've already got C sus to F happening in the diatonic chords anyway. On my way to G, I might do D sus over F sharp. On my way to A minor, I might do E sus over G sharp. I won't really do it going to B half diminished because that's already a very unstable chord. If I did, it would be that. But I might not bother with that one. And then on my way to C, I'm doing G sus over B already. So my whole set would be this. That's what I was using in the intro. So if we're trying to find different harmonic contexts that we can use this G sus over B chord in, Here's one. We could go G sus over B to E minor 9, but with no 3. So we are using the coming around voicing in a different way, because the bass note is now the root of the chord, but it's actually still pretty functional. It's still a 5-1 progression, isn't it? I could also do this. So now I'm in the key of E flat. So it's slightly different again, but actually if I'm in the key of E flat, this is just that chord that we had leading to chord 6, but I don't go to chord 6. Yeah, so it's pretty difficult to get away from that 5-1 idea. Here's another idea. If we take this G sus over B voicing, take it up an octave, and now stick a C underneath it. Cool. Now it becomes a voicing for C major 7. Or how about if I transpose this up to B flat sus over D and stick a C under that? Or even down here it'll work. So now it's working as a C minor 9, 11 voicing. Alright, that's probably about it for now. I'm going to finish by playing you the intro to this tune I wrote called Coming Around. The Coming Around chord is the last chord of the intro, except I actually misremembered it when I was practicing, and I've used an inversion of this chord that we've been talking about. So that's the one that we've been talking about, and if I just look at the 3 notes in my right hand, I could actually play 3 different inversions of this chord. So there's first inversion and there's second inversion, and then it'll go with that bass note. They all sound cool, and you could start the whole process again of trying to find a scale's worth of chords, but I'll leave that one to you. So in my tune I actually used that inversion of it, and as I said, it's the last chord of the tune. That's it. I'll see you all soon. Hope you got something out of this. Don't forget to subscribe. Cheers.